Okay, the diagram shows the triangle RST, which is angle X, the line segment RS, which is the diameter. Gavin says the size of the angle W must be 90 degrees. State one theorem on your course, or theorem or corollary, that shows that Gavin is correct. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll get this now. Give me 1 second. So state one result on your course, a theorem or corollary that shows that Gavin is correct. So look, here's the answer here, straight from the marking scheme. The angle at the center of the circle, which would be this angle here in this question, is twice the angle at the circumference standing on the same arc. So the arc is R to S, so you can see there standing on R to S, and you can see that the 90-degree angle is also standing on R to S because it starts and ends at this point. That's how you make the angle, okay? So the angle at the center of the circle is twice the angle at the circumference standing on the same arc. That's theorem 19. Or each angle in a semicircle is a right angle. That's the corollary number 3. Okay, so that's that question done and dusted. Using this information and trigonometry, find the size of the angle X given your answer in degrees. So we know ST is 10 and RS is 30. So ST is 10. ST is 10 and RT is 30. So ST is 10. What's the other one gives me? RS is 30. Sorry, RS is 30. Now RS is the hypotenuse. Okay, and since we're looking for angle X looks at the 10, so this means 10 is the opposite. So we're going to use silly old Harry, chase the horse through our attic. We're going to use opposite and hypotenuse to find the angle, so we're going to use sin X. So it's going to be sin X equals 10 over 30. So we're going to bring that information down the way. And then we're going to use sin inverse to find the angle. X equals sin inverse 10 over 30. So let's see what happens here. Make sure it's on D, so shift sin inverse 10 over 30. 19.47, to correct to 1 decimal place is 19.5 degrees. Okay, moving on, question 9. Class 25 students are surveyed on how many WhatsApp messages they sent in a particular week. The results are shown in the table below. 0 to 30, 30 to 50, 50 to 70, 70 to 100, and 100 to 160. Number of students is 1, 2, 10, 7, and 5. A student is picked at random from the class. Find the probability that these students sent 50 messages or more. So there's 25 students in total. How many were on 50 or more? Well, 30 to 50 means at least 30 but less than 50. So anybody with 50 is here, 50 or more. So it'll be 10, 7, and 5, which is 22 people out of the 25. And just wants the probability. So 22 out of 25 is our answer. You can change that to decimals if you want, and it's 0.88. A student is picked at random from those who sent 50 or more messages. Find the probability that this student sent 50 to 70 messages. Well, we know the student is out of the 50 or more pile, which is 22 students. And out of those 22 students, only 10 of them belong to the 50 to 70 pile. So that's 10 out of 22, which is 5 over 11. Or if you want to put it in decimals, it's 0.4545 reoccurring. Okay, next thing. Use the mid-interval values, calculate the mean number of messages sent per student. Okay, so we're just going to copy and paste this. Send to the current page. Okay, estimate the mean. 0 to 30, half it is 15. 30 to 50, 80, half it is 40. 50 to 70 is 120, half it, and you get 60. 70 to 100 is 170, half it, and you get 85. And then 100 to 160 is 260 half it, and you get 130. Okay, and we're going to multiply it out. Okie dokie. So, what we're going to do here is 1 multiplied by 15 plus 2 multiplied by 40 plus 10 multiplied by 60 plus 7 multiplied by 85 and plus 5 multiplied by 130. All over 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 10 is 13, 13 plus 7 is 13 plus 7 is 20, 20 plus 5 is 25. Okay, we gotta add, get all these together, so it's gonna be 15 plus 80 plus 600, 7 times 85 is gonna be tricky. I think it's 595, but we'll say, oh, it's 595. And then 5 times 130 is 650. Gonna add all them up on top. And we should get 1940 divided by 25, which would be an average of 77.6. Okay, done. D. The student also found that the total number of WhatsApp messages sent in a particular week. Use this data to find the smallest. Use this data in the table to find the smallest value this could be. Smallest value of the total number of WhatsApps in a week. Okay, I'm going to grab this here again. Okay, so we're just going to grab this table here. And we're going to rig this table so that it's basically the minimum amount possible. Okay, so just pretend you're using this table again. Okay, like so. And what we're going to get is 0 to 30. You can imagine they're all on 0. So just say they're all on 0. 30 to 50, argue they're all on 30. 50 to 70, argue they're all 50s. 70 to 100, say they're all 70s. And then 100 to 160, argue they're all 100. So 0 times 1 is 0. 30 times 2 is 60. That'd be 2 people sent 30 messages. 10 people sent 50 messages, which is 500. 7 people sent 70 messages, which is 490. And 5 people sent 100 messages, which is 500. Add them all together, and you get 1,550 messages. Okay. Question 10. There are 10 students in the class. All 10 of them sat a test. The table below shows the mean mark, the median mark, and the range of marks in the test. Okay, so the mean means the average is 25.1. This means the mean means that the middle person, or the average of the middle 2 people, was 24. So their average is 24, or the middle person gets 24. The range is the difference between the top mark and the bottom. So this would be the bottom mark. This is the top mark versus the bottom mark is 14. 32 was the highest mark. Use your range to find out what the lowest mark is. Well, 32 take away 14 will give me 18. Okay. Next question. An external examiner suggests that 2 be added onto each of the students' marks. What will the mean, the median, the range, what happened in each of these cases? Well, look, let's set up a really small scenario here, okay? Let's say 32 is your largest mark. We know 18 to be our smallest mark. Okay. And what we need to do is need to rig this to give me an average of 20. So if I have 3 students, median has to be 24, so the middle person has to be 24. I'm going to make up 2 numbers here that will give me a total of, if the mean is 25.1 and I have 5 people, so what's 5 times 25.1? 5 times 25.1 is 125.5. And for argument's sake, if I could just call this 25 here. Actually, we'll see if this works out, okay? So 125.5, take away the 32, take away the 25, take away the 24, take away the 18. 26.5 too high, so why don't I make this bigger? Why don't I turn this into 29? Let's try it again. 125.5, because that's what all 5 grades have to add up to. I'm just in a scenario with 5 grades, just to show you what's going on. Minus 32, minus 29, minus 24, minus 18. Great, 22.5. This works perfectly, okay? So look at this, guys. This is a scenario of 5 numbers that fits this perfectly. The mean is 25.1. The median is 24, because 24 is the middle number. And then finally the range is 14, because the top number take away the bottom is 14. It fits it perfectly. Now what happens when we add 2 onto everything? Well, this will be 20. This will be 24.5. This will be 26. This will be 31. And this will be 34. The top number take away the bottom number is still 14. So the range remains unchanged. The median, however, is now 26, so the median raised up by 2. And finally, the mean. What is the new mean of all these numbers? Well, I think it's going to be 2 bigger, because we added on an extra 10, didn't we? 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So we added on an extra 10, which is 135.5, and then divide that by 5. 135.5 divided by 5. And you get 27.1 as your new mean. So that also goes up by 2. Okay? You could also add all these ones up together, add up all the new numbers together and divide by 5, and you'll still find out it's 27.1. Whatever you want to do. Okay, so we answered these questions here. C. Bob says whenever the median of a list of a number is 24, then at least one of the numbers in the list must be 24. That's not true, and I'll give you an example why. Let's take an example of 4 people. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's say the middle 2 are 23 and 25, and this is 20 and 28 for argument's sake. And then the median is the average of the middle 2, so the median is 23 plus 25 over 2, which is 24. And this is it, okay? So this is an example showing Bob is not true, okay? All right, guys, now we're on to question 11. Apparently I'm going to have to do a construction, which shouldn't be a big deal. Okay, construct the bisector of the angle KPA, which is this angle down here. Just grab a compass and pick a length. Just make sure it's right on the angle there. So pick a length. I'll just pick this length here. So there's 1. Go up again. There's 2. Oop. Using the same length or for both of them, I just go down here, do one long arc like so. One long arc here. Then we're going here to here like so. Right, and there's your angle bisected. Done. The diagram on the right shows the parallelogram HOPE. Prove that all 4 sides of the parallelogram are equal in length. Okay. If we prove they're congruent, okay, the first thing we need to prove here is that it's a parallelogram. Okay, so let's do angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, and angle 4. Okay, I need to prove they're congruent, lads, okay? So that will be the, first of all, triangle OPH is isosceles. Now, why is it isosceles? Well, angle, this gives me angle PHO equals angle OPH. Okay, no worries. Now, it says it's a parallelogram, so we can say there that angle 1 equals angle OPH, or sorry, equals angle OHP. Reason being is the Z, remember the alternate angles. Okay, and then we can say that angle 2 equals angle, what's it, HPO or PHO? PHO. It's alternate. Okay, and then what we can say is they have a common side. So we have angle 1, so if you will, blue 1 equals blue 1. Angle 1, green 1 equals green 1. Now we proved the side in between, we can get an ASA for both triangles, okay? So next we can say is that PH equals PH, common side. Common side. So triangles PHO and EHP is congruent to EHP. Triangles are congruent by ASA. The triple equals means they're congruent to each other, okay? And if they're congruent, both triangles are isosceles. So basically, OP equals OH. OP equals OH. And OH in turn equals EH. And EH in turn and HO equals EP. Equals EP. Okay. Prove that all four sides parallelogram are equal in length. Okay, perfect. Did that. Now, let's move on. The triangle PQR has sides of length 8, 11, and y. Write down one value for y, which PQR is an isosceles triangle. Well, let's draw a triangle. So it could be 8, 11, and y. So y could be 11, or it could be 8. The triangle STU has lengths of side 4, 7, and x. Find two values for x for which STU is a right angle triangle. Well, it can either be one of the smaller sides or it can be the larger side. So that's what we got to figure out here. So you could have x as the hypotenuse to 4 and 7, or you can have x as one of the smaller sides to 7, because 7 would have to be the hypotenuse then. So we can say is that x squared equals 7 squared plus 4 squared. X squared equals 49 plus 16, which is 65, we hope. And x will equal root 65 in third form. Or in this one, it's 7 squared equals x squared plus 4 squared. 49 equals x squared plus 16. 33 equals x squared. X equals root 33. Okay, Miriam is trying to find the volume of the water tank as shown in the photograph on the right. She takes measurements and draws the diagram. Part of the diagram shown below. Okay, use the diagram to find the value of x correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, so x is the opposite, 20 is the adjacent, and 30 is the angle we're using. So we're going to use tan. So katoa, so we're going to use tan because we're using the opposite and the adjacent. So it's going to be tan 30 is x over 20. Bring 20 up, it's going to get 20 tan 30. And 20 tan 30 is going to be 11.55. Okay. Part B. The angle of elevation from the bottom of the water tank is 30 degrees as shown in the diagram. The angle of elevation to the top of the water tank is 38 degrees. Find the distance mark h on the photograph. So, if I can, sorry, just going to move this down here. So look at this. So the distance mark h is this distance here. Okay, and we all know that's 11.5 already. So this size is 11.5. Now I'm going to do is going to construct another right angle triangle, like so, where it's going to look up to the top of the triangle. Okay, and like this. Now, we take this triangle over to the right. What we know is it's 38 degrees instead of 30 degrees. Oh, here. 38 degrees instead of 30 degrees. We want to find the total height of here, so we'll just call it y. And remember, y equals h plus 11.5, because you have your 11.5 here and your h. So we're basically trying to find this. This is the red distance is the distance y. Okay, we know that's 20. So what we can use is tan 38, because opposite over adjacent, tan 38 equals y over 20. Y therefore equals division of 20 on the right, which will make multiplication of 20 on the left. So it's 20 tan 38 equals y, because it's meant to be on the left hand side. It really doesn't matter, but just for argument's sake, 20 tan 38 is 15.6257. So 15.6257. Only to one decimal place, so I'll just do it as 15.6 meters. And then we got to take away the 11.5 from earlier. And then we know the answer is 4.1 meters. Okay, so that's B done. C. U is also trying to find the volume of the water tank. He estimates that the height is 4.5 meters. By taking measurements from the photograph and performing calculations, use U's value of h to estimate the volume of the water tank as accurately as you can. Give your answer correct to the nearest meter cubed. State clearly what shape you're taking the water tank to be. I think we're taking the water tank to be a cylinder. Fairly certain it's a cylinder in the question. Okay. Now, okay, so we're actually going to have to take measurements here. I don't know what the measurements in your copy are going to be. So this is just going to roughly show you what you got to take. So I'll probably do it this way. So taking measurements from the photograph. All right, so he wants us to use the photograph, which ain't great. So he wants us to use the height is 4.5 meters. I'm going to take the radius from here to here. All right, the height is 2.2 centimeters, so I'll be able to calibrate this properly in a second. So that's 2.2-ish, so I need to make it a bit longer. Just a little bit bigger. And now that little bit smaller for me, I'm afraid. So here's what you do. You take the height, and you should measure roughly 2.2 centimeters when you do that. So a height of 4.5 meters. 4.5 meters equals 2.2 centimeters height. Okay. The next thing you're going to do is measure the diameter. Okay, so you go back. You try and measure the diameter of the water tank as best you can. I think the diameter, I'm going to use a colored, maybe something like yellow. Go from here to here-ish. Okay, so that will give me a diameter value. As best you can, lads. I understand it's quite a difficult question. You can just show your workings as best you can. So that's going to be from 0, it's going to be 5.6 for me. It's meant to be 5.2, so maybe I just overcooked it a little bit. Maybe I didn't quite center it where it should have been. So about 5.2 is what they're saying it is, okay? So I'm just going to go with the market scheme in the book. 5.2, whatever you get, you get. Okay, so don't worry about that either. There's a margin of errors. So diameter is 5.2. Which means radius is 2.1 centimeters. Okay. Now what we got to do is we got to convert the radius. Oh, sorry, radius is 2.6. My fault. 5.2 divided by 2, 2.6. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert it. Okay. So we're going to find out what 1 centimeter equals. So divide 4.5 divided by 2.2, and you get, it's best to use it as a decimal, 45 over 22. So this is in the calculation section, as it turns out. So 1 centimeter equals 45 over 22. I need to find out what 2.6 centimeters is. So I multiply this answer by 2.6. Multiply by 2.6. And we get 117 over 22. Okay, meters, which is roughly 5.318 meters, okay? Now we're going to use volume is pi r squared h, so it's going to be pi. The radius is 117 over 22 squared. The height is 4.5. I'm going to put all this in the calculator. I'm going to get a pretty accurate measurement for my formula, I hope. So pi times 117 over 22 squared times 4.5, 399.84. So I know on the marking scheme says 399.81, but I'm actually arguing that I have a more accurate answer because I use fractions instead of decimals. To the nearest meter cubed is going to be 400 meters cubed. Okay. Last question on this one, question 14. A small sphere has a radius of 1.5 centimeters. Find the volume of the small sphere. So it's 4 over 3 pi r cubed. In terms of pi, it's 4 over 3 pi times 1.5 cubed. Put all that into the calculator. And you should get 9 over 2. I just want to check this one out. 4 over 3 Ignore the pi, just don't even put it in, guys, and then let's do 1.5 squared, or 1.5 cubed. It is 9 over 2. 9 over 2 pi centimeters cubed. The volume of a large sphere is 3 times the volume of the small sphere, so multiply this by 3. 9 over 2 pi multiplied by 3, which is 27 pi over 2. Find the radius of the large sphere. Well, the radius of the volume of the large sphere, which is 4 over 3 pi r cubed, equals 27 pi over 2. The pi's will cancel on both sides. And to get r cubed on its own, division of 3 on the left is multiplication of 3 on the right. Multiplication of 4 on the left is division of 4 on the right. So I'll put this into the calculator, and I should get r cubed equals 81 over 8. We're going to cube root that, which is this button here in the calculator. What number, when you multiply it by itself 3 times, gives you 81 over 8. So it's going to be cube root, shift cube root of 81 over 8. Okay, now, doesn't quite give it in the form we're looking for here. So I'm going to cube root 81 separately. Cube root of 81, that doesn't work either, which ain't great. Cube root of 8 on the bottom is 2. So it's definitely 2 on the bottom, because it's the cube root of 81 divided by the cube root of 8. And the cube root of 8 is, the cube root of 8 is 2. Now here's the tricky part. What are we going to turn this into? Well, the trick is to use a cube root. Cube root of 3 is 3, 9, 27. I'm going to turn this into cube root of 27 multiplied by the cube root of 3. Do you remember the rule of thirds earlier, where if I ask you for root 16, you could say it's root 8 by root 2. The same thing's true for cube roots. It was the cube root of 16, you could say it's the same thing as the cube root of 8 by the cube root of 2. It's a tricky old question, to be honest. And the cube root of 27, shift cube root of 27 is 3. So it's 3 cube root of 3 over 2. Harsh question. Alright guys, that's us for the remainder, all the way to question 8 to 14.